high. Baby, I won't leave your side. Girl, you my ride or die. Like a diamond, we will shine. Baby girl, it's you and I. Baby, I won't leave your side.
And I'm your TP. I'm the beach, you're the bikini, the remote control, you're the TV.
Ready for upgrade?
Come to Sika Motors, sole distributors of Toyota vehicles, Mitsubishi vehicles, and Yamaha motorbikes, genuine accessories and spare parts.
You name it, we have it. We have the 2022 brands of Toyota vehicles. Select from our new Toyota Starlight,
Toyota Belta, Toyota Rush.
We've got the best deal in town through our Sika Motors financing schemes with selected banks, EcoBank Liberia and UBA Liberia, starting at the lowest as $500 USD. You won't believe these prices. Come for quality, reliability, and durability. Take a spin and let's make a deal.
Sika Motors on UN Drive at Sailtown, Bushra Island, or call Sika Motors on +231 775 987 758 or email cmarketing@cfao.com. Sika Motors, drive with confidence.
We all know the headache we go through sending money to our loved ones, friends, and family in Liberia. High fees, long lines in banks, the usual complaint of the system being down, such a waste of time and energy. That is why I was very happy when I learned that Sendwave is now in Liberia. So now I can send money anytime from anywhere directly from my smartphone to the MTN Lone Star Cell mobile money account of a loved one, friend, or family within seconds for just a tiny fee. So download Sendwave now to your phone from your Apple Store or Google Play Store. Add your details, and don't worry, they are very safe and secure. And start sending money today. Don't forget to insert the promo code COSTA to get free $5 credit added to your first transfer. Sendwave is secure, super fast, and by far the most affordable way to send money to Liberia. I'm Henry P. Costa and a very happy customer. Thank you.
And a pleasant good morning, Thursday morning, to another edition of the Costa Show. The time check on my end is 6:33 a.m. here in Pennsylvania. And it's a good Thursday morning. And I'm sure George is about what, 10:33? Is that correct?
Yes.
10:33 there in Morovia. Darlene Collins here in Pennsylvania and Josh Gray over at Control. Welcome to another good morning, fascinating presentation of the Costa Show. This morning we're going to bring you tons and tons of information. Particularly, we're going to lay special emphasis on the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, who has been charged with murder. Former Supreme Court Chief Justice Gloria Musu Scott. That is what people want to call us. Technically, it appears as a fall from grace. Imagine somebody serving at the zenith of the court, the highest court of the land. It has been placed before trial for criminal indictment. That's something very concerning. We also going to have on the show here this morning. I don't know whether George have worked up the modalities. Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, who will come on the show to tell us about the medical implication, especially with the government pathologist. When Charlotte Musu had passed away, on mysterious circumstances, the government of Liberia decided to conduct an autopsy report. And friends, it is sad to know that the government said that the autopsy was going to be, ready in about 2 weeks from the time they commissioned the autopsy. Up to now, it's been up to 4 or 5 months. The government is yet to release the autopsy report of Charlotte Musu. What went wrong on the night of, what happened. We weren't there, so that is why we have a pathologist, especially forensic death investigator, people who were going there to bring, to basically reconstruct everything that happened to the deceased, to tell us. But on the flip side of that argument, Dr. Rockefeller Cooper believes that Dr. Benedict Coley, of course, lacked the capacity to even perform such professional training, especially forensic death investigation. So Dr. Rockefeller Cooper will join us on the show to walk us through, the whole forensic thing here and what happened. Also, we're going to be joined by Murphy Gibson. Murphy Gibson is a senatorial candidate from Bomi County. Sometime in the program, we're going to bring him on the show. There's a lot of things happening in Bomi, and he's going to come and tell us his own, story in Bomi County. Bomi is one of Liberia's poorest county, that have come in the news, for sometimes some of the very sad stories. So Murphy will join us to tell us, what is happening on that side, what level of work he's been doing. So you stay put and stay tight. So George, you have anything on your end?
Nothing much this morning.
Yes. So thank you. So the government of Liberia, I'm going to read an article here from the New Dawn newspaper. The government of Liberia have reacted angrily against the court release of former Chief Justice Gloria Musu from police custody, alleging that it was due to her profile and influence. Councillor Scott and her family members, Rebecca Wisner, Gertrude Newton, and Alice Johnson, spent Thursday night in police detention after reports of police charging them with murder, criminal conspiracy, and providing false report to law enforcement officer. Presided over by Judge Blamo Dixon, criminal court Morovia ordered Councillor Scott and her 3 other family members released from police holding and entrusted them into their council Augustine fire. The judge ruled on Wednesday, the 21st of June 2023, after a hearing petition of a writ of habeas corpus filed by Councillor Scott lawyers to produce the accused before the court. Councillor Judge Dixon had also ordered the reduction of the deployment of armed police officers from the court and withdraw them from the facilities. He granted the release of Councillor Scott and her accused family members on reason that the state stated in their petition. Judge Dixon denied the prosecution resistance to the defendant petition in order to the sheriff to place in holding the accused in the office of the lawyer and sign for them. The judge released them pending the insurance of a writ of arrest from the appropriate court or the insurance of an indictment of a grand jury of Moserado County. In an interview outside of the court on Wednesday, the government lead lawyer at the Ministry of Justice, Councillor Lafia Gu, alleged that the criminal court had released Councillor Scott because she was not an ordinary person in society. Councillor Scott has been placed in jail. Councillor Scott was never placed in jail. Rather, she was being investigated for murder, criminal conspiracy, and false report to law enforcement officer, said Councillor Gu. Being investigated and charged are 2 different things. If it were ordinary person today, they would not go home. Councillor Gu asserted and protested that the former justice minister should not have been released. Councillor Gu argued that Councillor Scott and her family argument was far from the petition they filed to the court. He alleged that they argued outside of the petition, nothing, basically on Thursday evening, June, Councillor Scott and her lawyer filed a habeas corpus with all of that, citing Article 21, Section E and F of the 1986 Constitution. So, well, George, basically, I really wonder, my good friend, Councillor Lafia Gu, understands that somebody gets imprisoned from the movement, they are in detention from the movement police start to investigate them. The moment police call you to the Liberian National Police for questioning, you are technically under detention. Under detention means they can be investigating you or they can choose to keep you behind the cell or in jail, but you are under police investigation, you are under detention, and you are in jail. And that is why the statute made it very clear that police officers can only keep people within their holding for anything not more than 72 hours. Anything short of that, that person should be charged and forwarded to court. So yes, former Chief Justice, Councillor Gloria Musu, who police in the first place, but Councillor Lafia Gu need to tell us what documentation forwarded a former Chief Justice to court. Because people only goes to court if they are charged and they are arraigned before the justice in chamber, who will now read to them they will read 48 hours. Thank you, Michael. Who will now read to them what is happening So the appropriate measures were taken. I think that is the legal hassle. So whether you kept her at the Liberia National Police headquarters in somebody's office, ongoing investigation, she was in police detention. So whether the police decide to keep her at the charge of quarter or they decide to keep her in one office pending investigation, the fact that you invited her from home and she got to the Liberia National Police headquarters, her 48-hour period started there and then. So that is why police have more than enough time to do their preliminary investigation so that when they bring the suspect in, they will now match what they have, prepare the documentation, charge the suspect appropriately, and forward that suspect to court. And the lawyers on Councilor Grover Musu's end, they file a writ of habeas corpus to say, we demand the living body release of our client to us that you are keeping her beyond the statutory period. And the judge basically acted on the facts that if the Morrisville County grand jury have an issue, let them do a formal indictment of Councilor Scott. But George, this whole handling of Charlotte Musu's death by the government of Liberia is becoming more of a problem than the government is trying to problem solve. In the absence of public confidence, when the people don't believe that the government they have in office will hold people accountable, when there is an issue about the rule of law, the people tend to not believe the government on everything that they pull up. I'm not saying that Councilor Gloria Musu is above the law. I'm also going to share here with you on the platform some of the theories we have been getting behind the scenes. Friends and family, friends and colleagues in the media has been sending us about the death or the involvement of Councilor Gloria Musu into her daughter's death, allegedly. The government lacks public confidence. There have been a lot of mysterious, killings and death. And this government have not brought full closure to these things. What happened to the auditors? What happened to Princess Copper? What happened to those kinds of death reports that have been coming up? But the government of Liberia will only exert efforts to investigation that incriminates one of their lieutenants. The reason why, George, the government is so particular in that they want to exonerate their darling boy Jefferson Koji is because one of Koji's men were accused of leading this operation. That is the main reason why the government is going all out to disgrace, embarrass former Chief Justice Councilor Gloria Musu. So the law do not just apply when it is people in opposition quarters, that has been accused. I'm not saying that no one is above the law. Regardless of people's status in government, whether they were former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, if they are accused of something, they must answer to the court. That is why we have the criminal justice system. But the government is just going all over the place, passing all through different kinds of rabbit holes. When this thing happened, look, George, the night before the woman whom I visited, this woman alarmed to law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
As former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, it was the government responsibility to even issue through the Ministry of Justice armed security protection at the Justice House. The police failed to do their due diligence. They quote-unquote conducted their security surveillance thing, and they advised this woman to beef up her own personal security. Weeks gone by, this woman whom again came under attack by unknown men, leaving her daughter, deceased, gruesomely murdered. When these issues came up, police investigation, the family have made themselves available from the one of the investigation. You took Charlotte Musu to perform an autopsy report. You are saying you use forensic. What kind of serious forensic thing you got in that country? You got fingerprinting there? I don't know. Maybe the LMP need to come and tell us. You go to an investigation. You have all of that time to do your investigation. Over 4 or 5 months, the government cannot bring to closure. The government cannot even invite experts to help them. It's unfortunate, George, that the government should not just get serious when it is John Bryan opposition or people who criticize the government when they are accused of crimes. When Henry Costa were accused here of entering the country with a fake laissez-passer, the government made it a news. But when people in the government are accused, their men are accused. When Koji people are accused, they go to the police headquarters and they leave scot-free. I'm not saying that it was Koji operation, but the fact that the government cannot even ensure that they even dare to investigate this thing. Probably Councillor Gloria Musu-Scott might have just been involved, but the lack of public confidence in the people from the government, the fact that the people do not even have confidence in the government in handling these kinds of matters. The government lack the credibility to even investigate these kinds of things. Welcome to the show, Martina. So, it's the government have moved to charge her.
Thank you, Darlington.
Order her to court. And here we are. Her lawyers have filed a real habeas corpus demanding the release of her body to their care. And that if the court need her, her lawyers will make her available. And there are also another narrative. You know, there's the Costa Show. We say it like it is, unpolished. There is another theory in the media that Councillor Gloria Musu-Scott's boyfriend had allegedly gotten involved sexually with the late Charlotte Musu, and that the mother came and met her daughter in bed with her lover, and was probably raged, and then decided to, you know, to whether to stab her or to probably put hands on her or violate her. That is the narrative that is in certain quarters. And the people really want us to believe that? I'm not saying that it's not possible. Is this a government-painted alibi that they are trying to escape Koji and his men from being further investigated? Maybe it is not just Koji. Maybe it is just random criminal around the area. It is the government responsibility that when the justice announced that our home was visited by unknown men, nobody served the court at the highest level. And then you don't even attempt to even give them security protection. It is important that you give them security protection and police officers to guard their premises. Not because they are not in bed with the CDC. When I say you are providing security of the state, it don't mean that the LMP people, they're only there to provide security for people in government. Even past public officials. Even a former Associate Justice, Councillor Cabinet Janet were to allege that he had fear of his life. The government must make sure they provide Cabinet Janet security protection. Because the fact that Justice Janet served at the Supreme Court, he may have issued ruling in favor of people who were not happy or against people who were happy. If people start to visit him under the cover of darkness, I think it is good enough that the government provide him security. Not to say to Councillor Scott, oh, just beef all your own personal security. And now the government have brought up charge her for all to court. The government do not even have all of the issues. Just the case they sent to the judge in chamber. Councillor Gu, this government have all of the time to investigate issue in criminal issue. When you're saying Lafia Gu, you took that drug issue to court and you're flogged in court, and we don't know what happened. Whether you willfully allow yourself to be flogged on the drug bus aided by the Americans when the evidence were overwhelming. When the Americans provided you the information, you went to court only for the same people to be acquitted again in that very same criminal court. So just to conclude, and probably gave Martina, you know, to see whether she want to chime in on this. I think she's trying to settle her network. George, one of the most, you know, like, bro, have a way of setting some kinds of record. You know, as a student of the law, I'm trying to process here, George, where around any sisterly jurisdiction have a former Chief Justice of the nation's highest court be placed on trial for murder at that very same court. Councillor Gloria Musu-Scott have been at the Supreme Court for many years. Let's assume for the sake of argument that she might have been the one who have done this. Because of ethics and confidentiality and ethics and probably due to unmerited influence, this was the woman who headed the court at its highest level. You expect that woman to go to that very same court and you want to get the justice you want? But let me tell you what America and other people do in federal arrangement. If a judge from another state is accused of such a grave crime, the prosecution will probably file a motion for that judge to probably be prosecuted in another state. That if you prosecute that judge in the state of their jurisdiction where they have served before, there could be influence in the court. Councillor Scott had the court as a Chief Justice. She knew a lot of lawyers. And I've been told that Over 20 to 60 lawyers are coming up to volunteer their services pro bono to represent her. You don't even know whether interest she had in the what interest she or relationship she had with the judge in chamber. You took her to court. You embarrass the government. You don't just get up, you charge people with these charges if you are not sure. The way you manage government is that the rule of law must apply to everybody in opposition or out of opposition, so that Darlington Collins, the day he goes to Monrovia, he will conduct himself and know that Liberia is a country of law and not men. But you only go after certain people who criticize the government if they violate the law because you want to make an example of them. But when your people are accused, you give them slap passes, you don't investigate them. It's very unfortunate, George. Martina, you got anything to chime on this whole Councilor Scott, being charged and forwarded to court in her release?
Darlington, for me, I want the law to take a course. And I want to tell the government, right, especially the police. That's why you sound the whole case. I'm not saying anything about the case anymore, till the people can come up and tell us what really occurred. One thing I want to know, the police are trying to politicize the whole case. Because for one thing, if you telling us they must tell us what unfolding. We just like say
Martina, Martina, your network is coming in very, very bad. If you can make some adjustments, that will be good for us, Martina. Can you try again? Let's see.
The network bad in the morning. Oh God.
Martina will probably join us. Our network is probably giving issues. So yeah, I understand that we are on a one state arrangement. We are a sovereign state. We're not on no federal arrangement. What I'm saying is that before the government draws up an indictment or to even charge somebody at that stature, the government needs to make sure that they dot their I's and cross their T correctly. You can just charge somebody. You charge somebody for murder. And you don't even have, George, one of the hardest cases to prove in the legal scheme of things is criminal cases. It's not a civil case. In criminal case, the statute says for you to find somebody guilty, they must be proven beyond all reasonable doubt. That's why prima facie evidence coming. Beyond all reasonable doubt. The evidence must be overwhelming. The evidence must show, it must re-show that that person committed the act. Criminal cases is very hard. It's very hard to prosecute criminal cases. In civil matter, the preponderance of the evidence, something that resembles the evidence, to be true, considered probably true. Civil law, they tour with theories. They come up with the argument and hold people liable in civil matters. For criminal cases, especially in cases like murder, to find somebody guilty, it's not an easy roller coaster ride. The government needed to do all of their homework, all of their investigation on the one, regardless of who is involved. When your citizen life is taken away, regardless if that person is an ordinary citizen or they are a public official, the same energy and resources the government will use in investigating a government official dying, they should do that too for private citizens. Because when you do that, you will deter further people who have criminal minds to go and commit that same offense. You come up with these trauma charges. You indict the former chief justice of the country for murder. And you cannot establish a prima facie case just before the courts. You'll be a mere whipping boy. And like our man Michael Bobby Boo said here, this woman is having a array of legal minds. People who are well versed with the law in our country to join her legal team on a pro bono basis. All kinds of theories. So I said, man, so I posted about the thing. I said, this thing, it don't look good for our country. The people have managed to put another narrative in the media that, that Councillor Gloria Musu's boyfriend was the one who was having an affair with Charlotte Musu. What kind? Even in death, people don't even try to respect the deceased. Now the same way when Gefte Lama and Abba Peters were found dead on Broad Street, the president said they were doing man and woman business. And it concluded the entire investigation. The president just talked loosely and just made a reckless comment and concluded the whole case that the people are doing man and woman business. What happened to the autopsy report? The government, through the Ministry of Justice, Dr. Benin Lekoli, they told the Liberian people that in 2 weeks they were going to release the autopsy report. They conducted the autopsy. They did the preliminary investigation. Why are they not releasing the report? Why are they not releasing the report? Why are the guys not releasing the report, George?
That is a big question. We need to ask the government.
Wouldn't the government people know what is in the report? In fact, our man, Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, will be joining us shortly. Did he send the link?
Yes, I sent the link.
Yeah, please reach out to him to get him, to probably enlighten us more on this thing.
Okay.
So yes, comfort, Martina, the station manager reached a decision by the station. Martina is not suspended no more. And for some of you who are concerned, asking about Bueka, oh, where is Bueka? Bueka is bereaved. That is why Bueka has not been on the show this whole week. Bueka is bereaved. He lost his nephew. So if you can reach out to him, reach out to him, please. Bueka will be on the show next week. That's why we're sitting here for him. So just so some of you are concerned. So the Ministry of Justice, every time you just draw up the trauma of charges. You charge somebody for murder. Murder is no small potato to charge somebody for. The government needs to exercise all of their due diligence. And we need to make sure why in the preliminary investigation, just the way police manage the investigation will determine the outcome of the case, just from the beginning criminal investigation. So we hope that Councilor Scott, if she's accused, that proper legal channels are used to exonerate her. If she did it, well, we hope the government can prove it through their indictment, and we'll wait to see whether the Moserado County grand jury will indict her criminally and probably bring her back to court to answer to whatever charges that the government of Liberia have had. But you can't keep somebody beyond the statutory period. You can't keep them in police custody for no reason, and you just expect everybody to just be waiting for you. No. Again, the accused or the defendant have a right that must be protected, and our statute provides for that. The Constitution provides that if you keep somebody beyond the statutory period of 48 hours without even charging them and forwarding into court, the defendant lawyer reserves the right to file a writ of habeas corpus, asking the court to dismiss the case that it lacks merit and releasing their client to them. So the case is still in court. If the government feels they got more issue, they can criminally indict Councilor Scott through the grand jury of Moserado County and investigate her further and put her on trial. But we hope that you do not make mockery of the judiciary system by just drawing up charges for anybody. George is not the first of his kind. That somebody has been placed on trial for murder before. This is not the first of his kind. I remember during the Ellen Johnson Salif time, the case of Injured Toba, it came up. And that case dragged on for the longest. Autopsy report to another autopsy report. And that is why with all of these things, only for, in the final analysis, for the court again to rule that the accused were not guilty. That is why you don't just accuse people for murder if the government lacks the capacity to investigate and do not have all of the facts. Because criminally, to find somebody guilty for murder is not an easy road to pass. The evidence must show. That's why the statute say, the standard say, for you to find somebody guilty in a criminal case, it must be beyond all reasonable doubt. So you must show to them. So the government now will draw a correlation between Councilor Scott Elami, that her home was visited, until subsequently weeks after him, that she possibly may be the one, to commit the murder. And the government is alleging that Charlotte Musu, a body was found in Councilor Scott's bathroom. We don't know. We were in the police officer who responded. They responded on the scene. The police took pictures. They probably have the facts. We probably don't know. But I hope the government is dotting their I's and crossing their T's. and that this is not just a political case. Because mind you, Councillor Scott has been the lawyer of Yomli Kanga Lawrence. And I also heard some other things that Councillor Scott is representing some opposition people internationally, and that she just won a major case. That information I will not say yet. So we hope that this is not, a rabbit hole to a political witch hunt. If Councillor Scott did it, we hope that the government tighten their bootstrap in serving her a dose of justice. And that if you will investigate her, the government now must flip a new page. That even people in their cycle, when they are accused, the government must also make efforts to investigate them. And not just people in opposition. Are we having Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, or you want me to reach out to him?
I reached out to him, but he's not responding. It's not
Okay.
like he's asleep.
Okay, George, you can announce the numbers and see if our callers want to participate. Let me see if I can get Murphy Gibson on to probably log into the show.
Okay, but you should send the link also.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
Okay, folks, as you are listening to the Costa Show this morning, the numbers to call on 0770 102 102 0886 010 TD. The WhatsApp number plus 231 880 51 TD. Okay, just Taino?
Josh?
Yes, just go ahead so I can answer.
Okay. So yeah, so we are trying to have Murphy Gibson on here. He's coming on. He's a candidate in Bomi County. He will tell us what is happening. So yesterday, Radio Bomi conducted a senatorial poll, and we have the results. The senatorial poll that was conducted by Radio Bomi, Alex Tyler got 42 votes. Murphy Gibson got 28 votes. One Dolly got 23 votes. Morris Atuma got 3 votes. And Kamara got 2 votes. So the guy who's supposed to join us, he came second to Alex Tyler. But Alex Tyler has been conducting himself very maliciously in Bomi. And has been telling the people of Bomi that Murphy is working with him. So Murphy will come on here to explain to us his own story. So we hope that the government has set all efforts to go out and investigate and make sure that whatever they are saying about Councillor Scott, they have the necessary bone to pick, and whatever meat they want to add in the soup, that they can go ahead and criminally prosecute her. If not, let them acquit her. This woman has served the country at the nation's highest court. And I don't think that is the way we can pay people back in their hour of retirement that will go after them on political charges. If she has hands in Charlotte Musu's death, let the government also investigate her. And that's what we want to say here on the Costa Show. Josh, can you also announce the numbers again and see?
Dr. Rockefeller, he will join us shortly. Okay, for the numbers to call this morning, 0770 102 102 0886 010 TD. The WhatsApp number plus 231 880 51 3417 0770 102 102 0886 010 TD. These are the numbers to call this morning. Very soon, Dr. Rockefeller will join us on the show this morning. So you can place in your call now on the show, 0770 102 102 0886 010 TD, or you can call me on 0777 340737 and the WhatsApp number plus 231 880 513417. These are the numbers to call this morning. No cost yet, Darlington.
Yeah, so we are with Dr. Rockefeller Cooper to come and tell us about the autopsy report to see why is it that up to now the government have not yet released the autopsy report. I think it's important, and the Liberian people deserve to know why they have not yet released the autopsy report. It's been going on months now, about 4 to 5 months. If you have concluded the autopsy, it said that the government is afraid to release the autopsy report, that the people the people will resist the autopsy report like they did to Princess Cooper. I think it's our prerogative to know, what happened on the night of at Councillor Scott's house, The autopsy report is something that we await. Dr. Benedict Foley should not, just be doing this. And I'm also informed that I was just on the phone with somebody and they just told me that, do you know that even this charge, the charges and the prosecution of Councillor Scott, the Justice Minister, did not even sanction it. And yet the government prosecutors and the solicitors, they are going after Councillor Scott, going after her. So who is behind this? George, who do you think? Are there bigger hands that could be behind this?
Yes, it's the president. What do you think?
Wow. Well, I hope not. I hope it's not the president, or probably he is, because what we are hearing is that the minister, the Solicitor General cannot be prosecuting a case that the Minister of Justice don't even have a full understanding of. Is it that they just want to embarrass her and just, because just embarrass her before the public, they bring out these charges, especially with cases that they cannot prove, and probably she just walk out, free and don't even investigate further, because the public perception or the public demeanor so much answers from the LMP, especially with Jefferson Koji men being accused violently. So up to now, why is it that the government have not yet provided the preliminary autopsy report? But we're going to hold it to that, and we're going to entertain Brother Murphy Gibson, Ambassador Gibson. Welcome to the Costa Show.
Thank you, my dear brother Darlington. Thanks to our brother George Way. I've been following this show over the period.
What is happening in Bomi County? I know you are a staunch, star of the Liberty Party, and that the Liberty Party have gone into, a political marriage with Ambassador Joseph Boyka, which you have always been there supporting, His Excellency, the former Vice President of the country. What is happening? Is it that you guys in Bomi have, because some of those lawmakers who came to support Ambassador Boyka have come up with demand? Are they requesting the seat you should have contested in Bomi? Is that why you are here? Or is it that Alex Taylor is acting criminally in Bomi County?
But thank you, brother Darlington. Thanks for the invite and to talk for people across the country about what is obtaining in Bomi. As you clearly stated, I'm a staunch member of the Liberty Party, the current chairman for Liberty Party USA, and not just that, I am an aspiring for the Senate senatorial seat in Bomi. As you all may be aware, our party current situation, we are currently in an alliance with the Unity Party. You know that my senator, my political leader, Young Lawrence, does Ambassador Boyka. And consequently, all of us support the ideology of our party, support the leadership of Mr. Kanga. We are all supporting Ambassador Boyka. And in our process, as an expiring Liberty Party standpoint, automatically and being in this collaboration with UP, automatically it was like, should I say, automatically I should have been on the ticket of the Unity Party. Despite that, I come from the Liberty Party, and in Bomi, Unity Party don't have any candidate. All right. Orisa Timawu is the incumbent from the Unity Party.
If you can just make adjustment, your voice is going in and out, so that the public can hear you. Yeah.
All right, you hear me now?
Loud and clear, Murphy.
So, like I said, as an expiring from the Liberty Party standpoint, in alliance with the Unity Party, automatically it gives me the opportunity to serve as the Unity Party candidate in Bomi. You all know all the different political issues going on. Mr. Alex Taylor, the former speaker, who was formerly or is still a party, still the governance, the governing or party CDC, he has crossed over. All right, he has crossed over to supporting Ambassador Boyka. I think he saw the letter in the news media that he has resigned from his party, and therefore he's supporting Mr. Boyka. So now Alex Taylor has been doing everything to ensure that I do not contest on the Unity Party ticket. In Bomi, Unity Party is a formidable party. He understands that very well. That is why he has crossed over to supporting Bwaka to neutralize my participation in the process. And there has been series different negotiations and across the act to ensure that I don't contest the Sendwave.
Why were you former youth student leader? I mean, you've been working in Bomi for over 5 years with your people. I know you got your farm. You always back and forth in the US and in Bomi County, especially helping with your Murphy Gibson Foundation. Why should a discussion even be between you and Alex Tyler, a failed speaker, corrupt element in the legislature? Why should there be a discussion about you and he having a discussion for a seat?
No, but let's get it straight, right? Alex Tyler and I never had any discussion. I spoke to Alex Tyler in 2020. Since that time, we have never had any personal interaction, right? They are believing behind the scene who are making sure that Murphy Gibson can step aside for an Eric Tyler. I have
Well,
yeah,
we probably lost in probably internet service. We now been joined on the show by Dr. Rockefeller Cooper. Dr. Cooper, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How would
George, if you can just let him out, and then when we're done with Dr. Cooper, and probably if he comes on, we probably will finish up in our discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Dr. Cooper, it's been months now. The government, especially about 4 to 5 months, has been investigating the death of Charlotte Musu. And up to now, the government, when they began the preliminary investigation, they said to us in 2 weeks they was going to release the autopsy report. Why is it that Dr. Benedict Coley, up to now, have not yet come up with even informing the public about what happened? Do you think that Dr. Benedict Coley even have the capacity to perform such an autopsy?
Well, so there's been challenges with the conduction of forensic autopsies being performed in Liberia. So there are two classifications of autopsies, or autopsies, as some people pronounce it, depending on where you're from. So basically, you have your hospital-based autopsy, which is performed to have an understanding as to why the patient died. The person was probably not responding to medication. It also has to do with education, medical education. And then you have your forensic autopsy. Now, that's where things get a little complicated, because you're trying to establish cause and manner of death. And basically what the rationale behind it is that so you will enable the government or jurisdiction to pursue a case, as far as holding someone responsible for or liable for the decease of a person. And so, that aspect of forensic work has been a serious challenge in the country, unfortunately. And this case is one of those cases that fell into the bracket as well of not being, when I say fell into the bracket, meaning as another case that, had first of all, it was a complicated case and needed to have been looked at with someone with a great deal of experience in the field of forensics death investigation. But unfortunately, we are where we are, where there are issues with the autopsy that was performed, irrespective of it being preliminary or not.
Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, so I know you and Dr. Benedict Coley have been going at it before in previous autopsy, especially we have hosted you guys here before on the Costa Show, especially with Angel Cooper, and you have always been the one pointing out the flaws, especially with what is going wrong, especially with lack of capacity training. And for some reason you ask the critical questions because you are the expert, and that's your area of specialty. Why is it that the government of Liberia, every time when you come up with these analysis, and what is it that they fear, or they even jet out to even reach out for your professional expertise?
Well, I wouldn't want to say, fear. So first and foremost, it is indeed a prerogative of every government to work with those who they feel is fit to work with them,
Mhm,
or those that they feel comfortable with.
mhm,
Okay? So there's no obligation there. However, as a Liberian who is qualified enough to have an understanding and to help others understand
mhm.
the rationale behind the entire death investigation process, I'll always do so, because the problem here is with these cases, Darlington. So the field of forensics is not one that is even understood. Okay, and it can be very complicated. So if people are not understanding and they are always being misled, it is just not okay for the country. Besides, I don't know who's going to be next tomorrow. I have a lot of people in Liberia who are close to me that I also have interest in as well, and I sure wouldn't want to be on the other side of the fence, in all things considered. So that those have been my concerns. And another thing is, pointing out these issues as a Liberian. It is my patriotic and nationalistic right to do so as I see fit.
Mhm.
So it's nothing personal when I point out these facts.
So, so Dr. Cooper, thank you for saying that. I think you come more or less from a professional perspective, and I think you have a fiduciary responsibility in your area of specialty when you think people are proceeding wrongly, and being the nationalist that you are, especially with these kinds of cases coming from your country. It is very appreciated that you thought it wise to share your perspective on those kinds of issues. But tell us specifically, what do you know about the preliminary investigation of Charlotte Musu, the autopsy report that was conducted? What's happening? What is the government hiding? Or what is it that they don't want us to know?
Well, I wouldn't want to say hiding, because when you say hiding, Darlington, then now you're talking about intent,
Mhm.
okay, and which can lead to a string of other issues.
Right.
But be as it may, I come in from the investigative component. I try to be as non-political as possible. So
You're a professional, right? You should, right.
yes, so I've done two publications now. The first I did about I think about what, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. Initially, when I heard the preliminary findings, it didn't make sense, and which it still does not make sense in all things considered. So the preliminary report said that focus on a stab wound that was on the left, her left side, or the left upper chest wall. And according to Dr. Coley's preliminary finding, in fact, in his testimony, there's a video on that as well. He talked about where the intercostal artery, which is the artery that basically runs along the rib cage, basically got severed, meaning this from the stabbing, from the stab wound, that artery got damaged, and Charlotte Musu bled internally, and that also led to the collapse of her left lung. So that in itself, in all things considered, it did not make sense,
Mhm.
because so a person who suffers such an injury would develop a hemothorax, and sometimes in conjunction with a pneumothorax, depending on the involvement of the lungs. Now, the thing about it is, in that situation, the person can survive if they are taken to hospital. So what that means is, the interpretation of that is that this young lady was injured and nobody took her to the hospital. And there were multiple stab wounds that she suffered, and some of those wounds were even more detrimental. The publication is there. If you see it, I believe it's New Dawn is published it. And so when you look at the injuries, you can see for yourself. Okay, so there's no, just so that if anybody wants to argue, then we can argue on the facts. But as far as that report, so the preliminary report, it was highly questionable. And then we moved on. There've been a series of events, and my fear here, in all things considered, is that if the bricks are not, quote unquote, if the bricks are not laid in place, I'm afraid that there will be no accountability in this case, as far as investigation, the investigation process is concerned, which could follow up all the way to a potential trial, if there will ever be one.
I mean, does it compromises the biometric features of the deceased body if pathologists prolong to perform an autopsy on a particular issue? Dr. Cooper, considering the length of time with everything that's going on, that's been happening.
Well, so yes, time, indeed, time is of the essence whenever you are doing death investigation, period, meaning whether from the scene or from the environment, and then all the way to the post-mortem table, because you're trying to secure evidence. You're trying to make sure that everything is done in a timely manner, because when you are investigating, there are two elements that are looked at as well. Okay, so we look at reliability, okay, and then we also have to look at admissibility. So it's the evidence or the facts that that you're claiming to be undisputed facts. Are they reliable and admissible? So you have to be, so time is of the importance. And then again, like I said earlier, you must have a series of investigators handling these cases as they come, if indeed you want to have someone held accountable.
Well, Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, thank you for providing us that information. And I think your colleague, I don't know, but you have said some things about Dr. Benedict Foley. You say he lacks the professional training to even preside over such investigation. Do you care to tell the public, why you think Dr. Benedict Foley should not even be the one presiding over such an autopsy from a more professional perspective?
Well, so the problem that I've had here was not just against Dr. Coley. I have nothing personal against him, but as a Liberian, I have to also proffer what is best for the country. The issue that I've had with those, with the individuals, conducting post-mortem investigation in the country, is that both of them, okay, because it was him and Dr. Zobon Kpate, and I've had issues with the work that they've done in the past. And this is because, so let me just talk about the death investigation system a little bit so that you have an understanding. So preferably, in the most ideal situation, you will have a forensic pathologist performing forensic autopsies. However, from a global standpoint of view, there is a shortage of forensic pathologists. So, and that applies even to here in the United States. So what you have to remedy the situation is, one, you may have a non-forensic pathologist, preferably performing non-forensic autopsies, of course, like I talk about the hospital-based autopsies. Now, if a non-forensic pathologist is to be involved in forensic autopsies, then that person has to go through a certain level of training, so to be able to confront cases which should be classified as homicide, suicide, accidental, natural, and sometimes undetermined.
Mhm.
Okay? Because the autopsy is not just, is not just the golden key where you find a result every time. But I'm not saying now with that being said, I mean there should be no excuse. Okay,
Right.
we're undetermined. We're talking about, for example, a person like who just didn't wake up this morning. Okay, there's nothing obvious, that you can rely on. So after you've done your toxicology, you've done your histopathology work, nothing was found. Okay, that's why. So now those would be the elements that would be confronted in order to make a determination of undetermined, quote unquote, a class of death.
Mhm.
So apart from that, now you also have forensic medical examiners and forensic medical legal death investigators. So here in the U.S., for example, because I work in the autopsy industry, I work along with pathologists. So what will happen is you do the autopsy, and of course you must have an extensive amount of training, okay, in forensic death investigation. So
Does that account too for clinical supervision hours too with a forensic pathologist of training?
Oh yes. So like in my case, my goal was to become has always been to become a forensic pathologist. So what I did, so I got my master's in forensic science from the University of Florida's College of Pharmacy. Because so the colleges offer programs at different universities all around the country. And then of course, so with that, and then I also did and then I studied medicine as well. Then I worked at medical examiner offices at several places around the country, and so I was able. And what I did was I went, I applied most times for either for a specialist or for a technician position, so I could have the understanding. It's just like if you go to the hospital, even if you go to GFK or Redemption. The medical students there will tell you that they learn a lot from nurses, even though those people are just nurses, but they've been doing it for a while. So if you really want to learn clinical medicine and you in the hospital or clinical setting, stick to the nurses. You will learn a lot because some of them been doing it before you were even born, right? So yes. So, but from that version, so I work at the ME's office, and you have to know how you have to learn, and you must be knowledgeable of there's a certain amount of skill set that's required to perform forensic autopsies. Okay, so I did that, and then and we're talking about years ago, and then I went into working privately. So you do the autopsy, and then the pathologist will prepare the samples, the tissue samples that you send for analysis.
So on a more professional basis, what you were saying to us in a nutshell is that Dr. Benedict Boley and his colleague, lack the professional skill set to even conduct such an autopsy because they don't come from forensic background.
Well, yes, and
they haven't gotten the practical training hours.
Yes, so there's we have a problem in Liberia. Okay, the problem is that we always settle for just anything, and we need to know that not all that glitter is gold. So this issue started back with the previous justice minister, of course not Councillor Dean. He unfortunately just ended up in this situation where when these cases go the way they do, and then people are playing, but no, it's not for him. This started back with Minister Benedict Sanon when this issue came about. Okay,
right,
for having people trained to conduct forensic autopsies. So the first thing here is where they were sent to train is not where they should have even been being sent to. That is the first issue, because forensic training in West Africa, is a challenge. Okay, so but again, that's like I said, that's where we find ourselves, and now it's all about seeing how we can move things forward. because we don't know who is next. And especially the way in which young women are dying in the country is very concerning, and it should be alarming to anyone. So, but until we can fix that, we're going to have this problem all the time. If you look at definitely, if you read the article that was published, I think it was published yesterday or so, you will see the actual facts. Yeah, I mentioned, I addressed the injuries on the body. So that anyone who look at that article.
But Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, I know you wrote an article on this thing, but have you attempted, offering your? I know it's the right of the government to decline, professional services from professional Liberians. But have you offered to help us, especially in the area of forensic, death investigation? I know you have, and you got involved in the previous administration. You and Benedict Sanon, differing on a lot of issues, before. But have you offered to help basically with the skill set with the WIA authorities at the Ministry of Justice? Have you offered your services?
Well, yes, I have, but again, like I said, governments have the right to choose who they want to work with. And for the reason why I ask is not because I'm in need of a job. No, I'm blessed. Yes,
certainly not. Right.
Yes, I'm blessed and I'm okay. But it's because these cases are too simple. For example, this young lady, she died February 22nd. Her autopsy was not conducted until basically a month later. Okay, that creates a lot of issues from an investigative standpoint. Okay, and if you also have the procedure being performed, like I said, by someone who is not eloquent to the principles of forensic autopsies, that can make matters even worse. And again, if you read the preliminary report and you read the article that are published, you should be able to see night and day. I mean, it's clear cut.
Thank you. George, you want to announce the numbers? So if our callers, if our listening audience have question for Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, so he can address those questions, and then probably Dr. Cooper can just give us his parting comments on, where are we? What are the prospects for this whole thing? So George, please announce the numbers.
Okay, folks, the numbers to call this morning on the show 0770-102-102, 0886-010-TD8TD. The WhatsApp number +231-880-513417. The numbers to call this morning on the show. Oh, I missed the call right. Yeah, let me go to the phone lines here. The WhatsApp number, folks, +231-880-513417. And the long side number 0770-102-102, 0886-010-TD8TD. The number to call this morning on the show. No calls yet.
Well, so Doc, where are we with the prospects of this whole case? I mean, what are you projecting? In the possible days coming. Like especially with this whole forensic death investigation that's going on.
Well, yes. So the big question that will need to be answered is whether or not the element of prima facie has been established.
That's more on the legal and criminal side, of course, right?
Well, yes, but of course, the autopsy was not done because because the Ministry of Justice wanted to see an autopsy being done, or to
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I will call it now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Your name, where you calling from?
I'm calling from Massachusetts. I just want to ask Mr. Cooper a quick question. Mr. Cooper, who are your former and current employers? Please tell the librarian who are your former and current employers, because this is information you continue to hide from the public. That's a lot of people don't take you serious, including the Liberian government. Where do you work? Where have you worked?
George, take that call off, yeah?
No. Let me
address this question. But when we have our guests on the show and you want to engage them professionally, and want to know what professional skill sets they have, you can call and ask that question in a respectful manner. But we're not bringing our guests here, and somebody just call and start bashing them. So, Dr. Cooper, you have the right to decide to respond or not.
No. Let me answer his question. My current employer, first of all, I am self-employed, and so if you want to know the entity that I affiliate with, you can go and look at Third Eye Forensic Consultancy, a registered business here in the United States. Number two, he said the government of Liberia does not take me serious. You see, so what he is saying is that the government does not take me serious, but yet the government will have the death of its citizens investigated by people who are not qualified. This is the Liberia that we find ourselves in, Darlington. You see, he called in and think that you come into bash. I'm not one of those Liberians that's looking for work.
No, but you are professionally help with a lot of forensics in the country.
No, but yeah, it's the thing. No, you see, when some of these idiots call, and you have to put them in place. I made mention here of articles that are written. Let him go and read the article. But I know why he's calling and on whose behalf he's calling for. It's not going to work. You see, every time this is what they do, Darlington. When I present these facts, then they try to attack. Go and look at the photographs. You have a young, promising lady that that was murdered in cold blood.
I mean, yeah, a university student too.
Yes, okay, and she was, according to her biological mother, I believe she was going to be the first college graduate from that line. Okay, and I presented facts. So does he understand the anatomy of the human body? Let's take a more serious caller.
Okay.
George, we have a caller there?
Yes, we missed a caller. Yep. Okay, folks, the numbers are calling this on the show this morning. +231. You have somebody on the line. Good morning. Yes, good morning.
Morning, man. How are you?
We're doing great. Your name, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Australia.
Okay, welcome to the program.
Thank you. So, George, thank you. And Darlington, thank you. And Dr. Let me just lower this thing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, my brother. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to speak to Darlington and Dr. Rockefeller. So my name is George Wheeler. I'm calling from Australia. And the reason I'm calling is I've been listening to the program. And what I continue to see Darlington Company is that there's lack of public confidence in the investigation, whatever it is. But I just want to ask Darlington just one question. If this was your sister who had been killed or your relative who had been killed, will you mind that the government investigates? Even if there's no one that is believing them, wouldn't you want them to investigate? You will. I will. Most people will. But what I continue to see people doing most of the time is undermining the integrity of our institutions. And because of that, people will start to lose confidence because exactly what you are saying. People will listen to you. You are very eloquent. I want you to use your eloquence in a way that is positive. Liberia is all that we got. We can't sit down abroad. As I'm in Australia, I got better life. You do have a better life as well. But there are people who are back home who don't have that opportunity that you have. And they rely on those institutions. Even if we think that they are nothing, those institutions still does exist and do work to a certain extent. We should not continue to undermine the trust that people should have in them, because it will not do us any good. The only thing it will do is to create a lot of commotion in the country, and people will continue to do whatever they want to do. That's why mob violence has increased. Because
okay,
of
my
people
brother.
like
Okay,
you.
my brother. Let me just hold you there, please.
Yeah, I'll respond to him. If we got another caller, you go take another call.
Again, go ahead.
Yeah.
Saying
Look,
something.
so let me just respond to him before Dr. Cooper. So the problem is that you say undermine and undermine the investigation. The government herself undermines the integrity of the very institution that the government is an institution that must upkeep and uphold its sacredness. You cannot even be having the people who are even conducting the investigation when they don't even have the proper skill set. Except you want to come here and be pampering and be lying to our people that let's wait for the investigation. We know that the government herself lacks public confidence. You cannot just investigate people when they are not only people that or people of interest that you want to investigate. Are there not times here that auditors die under mysterious circumstances? Where did that investigation go? Is it not the responsibility of the government to bring closure to that grieving family, the auditors? Mary Ellis, who was in Nimba County, shot under mysterious circumstances, and the government was the one who deposited his body. The guy from the central bank, you said can't hit somebody, and the police were the one who deposited his body straight to the funeral, not even taking him to the hospital. So the government undermines its own public confidence. I know, my brother, we in developed societies, we want our people to have faith in the government, but I'm not government PR, man. And even if I were to provide public relations for the government, I will not upright the local truth and replace it with lies. I'm not able to do that one. So, Dr. Cooper, you can go ahead to what you were saying, yeah, Dad.
Where was I? In fact,
okay, Mr. Cooper, just hold on, have a call on it now, please. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, we'll do the person in the line. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, George. Good morning, Darlington, and good morning, Doc.
Yeah, good morning.
Doc, I kind of concerned. Yeah, I kind of concerned, and I listened to what all you said, and I know you're a professional person. This is Bill calling from Maryland.
Okay, Bill.
Yeah, I thought the government supposed to have a homicide detective because they know the people know how, like, with a knife or so forth, I kill a lady, right? Or a punch out, like you said. But the killer may be out there. So do Liberia have a homicide detective to find out who killed a person? The killer may be right out there. Thank you.
Okay, my brother. Okay.
Yes, I guess you asked this question. Well, I really cannot say if there are any homicide detectives at the LMP. That would be a question for the hierarchy at the LMP. So I really cannot answer that question. Mm-hmm. And just to add up, so when it comes to the investigation into any questionable death has several components. Like the caller rightfully indicated, there should be a homicide division where you have the investigators going to see if there's any suspect or to see basically what evidence is on the scene, the eyewitnesses that they could possibly engage to collect more information. Then you have your crime scene investigators that will go to analyze the scene as well. And then you also have like your death investigators. And then, of course, you will have those that will be doing the, your post-mortem examination so as to establish the cause and manner of death, because all of those pieces have to, be brought together to lay out everything that has transpired.
Okay, Mr. Cooper, me hold you there. We have a call on this line. Good morning.
Good morning, George. How you doing?
We're doing good, my brother.
Good morning, Darlington, and good morning to Dr. Rockefeller. Darlington, I called to tell you that don't waste your time on Josh Wheeler from Australia. That guy is a sycophantic seditious. Yeah, you can't get anything from him. You understand?
Don't wait.
The integrity of every institution will be called up to public scrutiny if that institution does not follow the professional code of conduct. Every profession has a professional code of conduct. You understand? So when it is not fully adhered to, the integrity of every institution will be called to questioning. And it is not you, Darlington, creating that kind of environment. the environment has been created by the government itself. You listen to Councilor Claude Musu Scott's older son. He said even before they get some of the confidential information, Abraham Gosson went on, and one Sekou Sheriff will already be discussing the kind of confidential information on their radio station because they are all alarmed with the government, with the CDC government. They are all division. You understand? So even they call Mr. Scott, the lady they call Councilor Scott's son, sell it. He question the integrity.
Right about that. The pro-regime journalists will be attacking it.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
Hello? Yeah, before this confidential information reach to the family, they are already in the public space. Today, you hear a sedition talking about undermining integrity. These are the same people in 2005, 2011. They are on record saying that they will announce their own election results. It was not undermining the integrity of the National Election Commission on several occasions. The CDC has announced that they are going to announce their own election result. Today, he wants to question you, saying that you are undermining integrity. It is very clear. The entire case has been politicized. The integrity of the institution conducting the investigation is called to public scrutiny because you see, or journalists got the forensic or the report before the family. Some of the information that should be given, of the information will be given to the family. They are first given to the journalist to go discuss it. So that mobile model. Listen to mobile model.
Okay, Tom. Yeah, go to the phone line. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
So so I listened to Barrington criticize the government on a couple of issues with respect to murder cases in Liberia. So Barrington, you asked that why the government didn't what they have not read the autopsy report of Kosu Scholar and what says they read the report of Princess Cooper, they should do the same for Kusu. The reason why the government read the autopsy report in the public for Princess Cooper was that they didn't find any foul play and there was no active pending investigation. But that is not the same for Musu Charlotte. This is a criminal investigation that is ongoing, very active that is ongoing.
Let me
say autopsy report of an artist, you are compromising the case.
Caller, you can listen. Yeah.
Caller, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Good. So I was not the one who informed the public that a report will be made available to the public in 2 weeks. It was Dr. Benedict Molly who said that. So if
you report in 2 weeks, if they went back to say no, if we do so, we'll be compromising the
so that's lack of professionalism. So we agree
that the king we should not. So I don't think that should be a problem. And secondly, you guys complain that this person got killed, that person got killed, the government didn't investigate. But every time something happens and the prosecutor do not find probable cause or charge people, you're complaining. Now that they have investigated and found probable cause and filed charges, you're complaining. What do you guys want?
Okay, my brother.
I don't understand.
Okay, my brother. Thank you very much. The WhatsApp number +231 880-513-417 0770-102-102 0886-010-TD8TD. The WhatsApp number is again +231 880-513-417. These are the numbers that call on the show this morning. Tada Cooper, you can go ahead and answer some of the questions.
So Dr. Rockefeller, Cooper, you can just probably do your closing in that regards with what you have heard and just tell us, like, I mean, where do we go from here with this whole investigation?
Well, okay, so let me just, your last caller, let me just enlighten him on certain facts.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever an autopsy is performed, the one who conducted the autopsy is under no pressure or should be subjected to no form of pressure to make any promises as to when an autopsy report will be out. You can simply let the public know that they will be made aware or giving updates, okay, as the time frame, because that puts you in a very bad situation. And I hope that will also be a learning experience for Dr. Coley. You should be under no obligation. Excuse me, it's just like if you're going to perform a surgical procedure and then you tell someone that I will be done in exactly 2 hours. You don't know what complications you might come, you see?
Right.
And given the Liberian society, which of course, you see, there's an issue with trust here. So because of that, people are always looking, even if the government is doing it in the interest, and they are doing things according because based on that lack of trust, that there's this salty relationship. So be as it may, it is only best that the government have people who are qualified to handle these different situations hired, okay, so that we can have a better Liberia. And I mean, for me, that's just it, because the way things are going in Liberia now, it has become a major headache. So, like everyone else, I'm just going to now be sitting back and just watching as these things continue to happen. So, if we feel that murdering our citizens, or especially our women, is the way to go, then let's see how everything is going to play out. Because I mean, it is quite sickening to see these cases. Last year, around the same time, another young lady was murdered. Then the cause of death was placed on tuberculosis. Okay. When you look at the actual facts, this was what happened with Princess Cooper, where her body was transported to where it was discovered, and then blood was dispersed to make it seem the whole thing that she vomited with blood. But look at the disbursements of the disbursements of the blood. Look at how she was she was placed in the position where that she was found. And then you come and say tuberculosis. Here again, you have another young lady by the name of Charlotte Musu, who was stabbed approximately 8 times. You focus only on an injury that people can survive from, and your autopsy report, you see, indicates, because here's what's going to happen. The autopsy that was conducted and the preliminary finding that was put out has the propensity, or it basically would tell sound-minded investigators that this young lady was injured and nobody attempted to give her any form of medical assistance. You see the contradiction between the actual facts and the preliminary finding. So that's why I'm saying that the problem here is, will this case be surmount to a case that will go to trial? I see this case as being a major headache.
For me, I don't see no clear pathway to it though.
You see, well, I also don't see a clear pathway, but I'm not just seeing it based on how I feel. I'm looking at the actual facts,
right?
You see, because if you say, for example, so we must and there's been we've all heard the different versions, okay, as to what happened in the residence that night. Now you had about 4 individuals that basically are being accused and charged of the crime, because they were within based on the fact that they were also occupants of the residence, and 2, there was no clear sign or a path of break-in. But is that enough to hold 4 persons responsible? Okay, what are the facts that you are putting forward? So there's the lawyers. Yeah, this case is going to be, I mean, one that I really want to see play out in court. So, but for now, we just have to wait and see.
Thank you, Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, for joining us. We hope that maybe as this case move along, we probably will knock on your doors again to come on and share more insights, as those issues unfold. Thank you for joining us on this towards the presentation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bye.
George, my man,
yeah.
I got to run. I got to catch an appointment. I can't keep on here too long. Thank you all for joining the show, and it's bye-bye from my end.
Okay, Dan, you too.
All right.